But Adetokunbo, doesn't this raise another set of issues in terms of the credibility of the votes, tampering of the votes, how sure and secure are the votes, will they be counted properly, and all whatnot? And if we're going that route, do you advise that it's safer to just stick with what we know at home, or find another means of getting this diaspora vote? Because with the hackings that you hear about, anything that has to do with online, you really cannot, you can't secure it 100%.
Yeah. For me, I look at it, okay, well, they did like an estimation of over $500 million was spent on the 2015 elections, and for you to bring in diaspora, that's in Nigeria, 2015 elections, over $500 million, and for you to bring in diaspora to also come and vote right now, you'll be talking about ×5 or ×10. However, I just think that is more or less like just a small impediment that we can actually cross, because I look at it from the perspective that even when it comes to, would I say, replicating, at least we are this kind of people that we get stuff from France, from US. So we actually borrow, would I say, ideas from them. We borrow virtually everything from them. Yeah. So it's not, would I say, it's not lost on us to also, would I tell them to also replicate whatever they're actually doing to get their own voting processes right. And as we all know, the world is a global village. There's nothing that stops us from replicating that as well in Nigeria.
Yeah, but the question is, replication is not the issue. I think, is it replicating it well and effectively? Because I was part of those who, my days in radio, I was part of those who were on the streets. And I understood how important it was to actually have people on ground, to see what's happening, to count the votes, to hear the parties, to sensitize people. And if you don't have that effectively done across board, doesn't that damage the credibility of the voting system itself?
Well, you know, I feel that credibility issue would always be there. For example, now, NBA elections that we had, it was last year or so, it was electronic voting. And although a lot of us feel that the voting process was very transparent and we welcome development, but I'm aware that there is litigation on that. And, you know, so you see that if lawyers come together to have electronic voting, and the voting was organized by a credible third party, an IT company, and another lawyer is challenging that process, you know that it will always be challenged. Credibility will always be an issue. But I don't think that should be something that should stop us from going ahead with it. I feel that credibility is not really an important issue, because if the infrastructure is there, we would be able to accept, because it's facts, it's science, it's technology.
I mean, the chairman of INEC is definitely for this. How do you feel Nigerians within the country will feel about Nigerians outside the country voting?
I think more than ever, Nigerians outside the country, they are very, very interested in what's happening here. You see them, they are even the ones that comment the more. So it's just natural for Nigerians within the country to also follow suit and even encourage them, because after all said and done, they are the ones that will still fund quite a number of things in our economy. So it's just right, and it's just the perfect thing for them to also have a say in whoever gets there.
Do you think this will have an effect on the outcome of, I don't know, candidates, the type of candidates that come up for 2019? Do you think this extra 20 million Nigerians will sway the voting in 2019?
I want to disagree with what he said about Nigerians being excited about diasporans voting. And why I want to disagree with that point is, if Nigerians abroad vote, 98% of the current political class will be wiped out.
How did you come about that? Or why did you say
Yes,
that?
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I said so. Like in Osun State now, in the 2014 governorship election between Arabeshola and Omishore, the gap between both of them was 100,000. And if you look at the demographics of those who participated in that election, majority of them were grassroots people living in the village, people, you know, that are not so sophisticated. So if you have a large number of people from abroad, because people abroad, they see Nigerians like, we don't know what we are doing. That why can't we replicate what's happening abroad? So they want to really make a change.
You feel that you have a more intellectually
driven process. Yes, it's going to spur up a lot of new candidates.
They won't be swayed by bags of rice and bread.
Exactly.
They'll be looking for candidates who can perform.
Exactly. And if you notice what's happening with all these Obasanjo's letter, IBB's letter, so a lot of people are showing interest in participating in governance now. Because before, you see most youth will say, you know what, I can't participate. But now we have people saying they want to go for House of Assembly, they want to go for reps, House of Reps. So someone living in the UK, for example, will not want to vote for someone who says he wants to share NAPEP. tricycles, or you want to see iron, or you want to see Okadas, or motorcycles, they won't be swayed by that. They will be swayed by ideas, and they will look at your track record. They will check you out online. Most people abroad, before they deal with you, they check you up online. They see your contact, what have you done? So if you check a senator that does not have any presence online, he has not written any article before you, we don't even know what he has read, we don't even know what he did when he was in university, they're not
lost that vote.
Yes, of course, they are going to lose that vote.
How well do you think the politicians or the candidates will receive this development?
That's the candidate.
Yes.
As you rightly said, the political, they won't be happy with that. Definitely, that's something that they won't be happy with. But what I'm just looking at
is it the old one or the new one?
I think
because
there are
a couple of young
perhaps
guys.
Maybe the old one, they won't be happy with it. However, I'm looking at it that might just be the push and pull factor that would actually take us to the promised land we're looking at. Because I'm looking at it right now with the way things are at the moment. Even the fact that even for our PVC, for us to get our PVC, we have to get long hours, 23 hours to do that. That means if you're talking about e-voting, every other thing would actually be revolutionized in terms of how we collect our voters' card and all. So looking at it from that perspective, that means the diaspora, the people living in the diaspora, they're going to be very, very crucial to the voting process. So I'm not looking at it from the angle whereby whoever is actually coming in, it will now take care of, would I say, anything that has to do with the diaspora as well. So we're talking about giving them maybe better financial transactions or better things like that that will actually make them come invest in their country. It would also factor that in. So I think that would also go ahead to determine where exactly we actually bring on board. However...
yeah, go on.
Okay, one more thing I was going to say is that, now, with the current dispensation, we know their attitude towards diaspora voting because, recently they are trying to amend the timetable for voting. So the current crop of our parliamentarians are more concerned about the timetable for voting than who participates in the voting. But I recall that when Jonathan was in government in 2014, the national conference that we had, one of the points that they agreed on was that diasporans should be allowed to vote. So we can say that maybe when Jonathan was in government, the disposition with the national conference was that diasporans should be allowed. But currently now, with the current crop of people we have in government now, we can say categorically that they are not concerned about it. Because if they are concerned about it, they won't be trying to change the timetable for voting, as against trying to expand the number of people who
let's pause on that and come back after the break. We'll see how this projects Nigeria to the international community. Will it be a positive thing, negative thing? Especially what will happen if we get it right and if we get it wrong. It's still Rubbing Minds. Don't forget the hashtag is Rubbing Minds and follow us at YNiger. Drop your comments. We'll be sure to tweet back right after this. Stick around.
Just